Hello, Wedding MBA. My name is Aurelia Aguirre, and I'm a coach and educator for event designers and decorators. I have been in the business for about 20 years, and I have been an educator for about 3 years. I would love the opportunity to be at Wedding MBA as a presenter. I have been attending Wedding MBA for about 4 years, and I always come with lots of knowledge and education and things that I can implement in my business all the time. So I would love to have the same opportunity for me to impart the knowledge that I have to other wedding professionals. I'm as a coach and educator, I mainly talk about how to improve the administrative systems that a business has so wedding professionals can enjoy a profitable business. However, I do teach a lot about the trends that come and go in our event industry and how we can implement them to whatever we are doing at the moment and whatever we're doing in the events that we have for the upcoming months. Also, this is something that I do with my clients as well. Not many of my clients are aware of the color theory, how to do a table, what's in style. So I guide them through the process into checking what they need, but also making sure that they're okay with the different materials, colors, and options that they have in order to complement their wedding with their style, but also what's on trend. So a big part of what I do as a decorator for my clients is to teach them and educate them about the difference in colors, materials, and make sure that they understand that like different things the different couples have different things that they don't have to do by the book or what's on the internet and also so they can understand that they have many options and some of them go better with their style and the color palette and the different things that they have on their weddings. So I am going to do a mix of color theory, but also tablescapes because I think they go hand in hand. When you have different color palettes and where you have different things on a table, you can also see that there's a lot of things to implement, not only for guest tables, but also for backdrops, balloons, guest tables, dessert tables, and all of that we have on there. So I'm gonna share my screen because I actually have some visuals on here that I want to share with you. So first, in the color theory that I give to my students and my clients, I always tell them you should have three different colors. At least you can have more than that, but at least three different colors. So one is going to be your base color, which is going to be mainly tablecloths and if they're needed in the venue, chair covers. This is the color that it goes first, like on the linen, when you put the linen on the tables, this is the color that goes first. And usually lighter colors or more simple colors like ivory, white, black, navy blue, blush is usually colors that are very in style, but also that can be used in combination with other different colors. So it's usually one tone. And then after that, you have your contrast color, which is most of the time runners, sashes. Sometimes it could be incorporated in the floral arrangements. Sometimes it is incorporated in different things that are on the table. So, for example, chargers and napkins. However, this is the color that is going to be kind of like your wedding colors. When a client comes with a color palette, these would be your wedding colors. And it's usually one or two colors. You can have as many as three, but usually one or two is what we use the most. So this is the color that matches the bridesmaids' dresses or that matches the flowers. Or if you have a two-tone color, two-tone color palette, this would be the color that you use that is not the base color, is not the ivory, black, white, the simple color that you have on your tablecloths. And then you have your accent color, which this is usually the color or the tone that you give to your tables to make them pop, to make them um, that when the guests come into the wedding, they can see and see, wow, this is beautiful, this is amazing. So these are the colors. It could be metallics, it could be bright colors. This is usually like on your color palette, this is usually the one that pops out the most. Like if you have 4, 5, 6 different colors on your palette, this is the one that people look at it and you lean towards it because it's either, like I said, metallic, really bright. It's just a little bit different than the other colors. It doesn't match um the tones of the palette. This can be an accent color. It can be also a texture or a material. So, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is what I tell my clients and my students. You choose these three colors, and then you can have a beautiful, beautiful table for your guests, for your main table, for your desserts table, even that can bring everything together. So I have examples on here. So usually you have, like I said, you have your base color. In this case is ivory. So that would be the base color that you have, the main color that is on the tables, and it covers most of the tables. Then your contrast color is going to be this taupe color, mocha, mocha tone, and that is going to be what people say is their wedding color. So if they have a terracotta and this color right here, or if they have a blush and let's say this taupe, if your bride and groom or your couple, if your couple has let's say lavender and soft pink, these would be their colors that they get used most at the wedding. So like I said, it's usually a runner, an overlay. If we have chargers, it could be that if you want to go with chargers, or it can be any other accents on the table that are going to be put on there. And then you have your accent color. In this case, we have two accent colors. This would be the gold. Actually, we have one because this color can be another contrast color because it matches the chairs. So we have the gold and the chargers that are matching the gold and the Chavari chairs. And then we have our base color, the ivory. Then the taupe is going to be our contrast color along with the gold one because this one has an accent color of green. This beautiful forest green that is on the napkins. So as you can see on these pictures, one thing can make a lot of difference. So if you imagine the color palette, you have, if you go from lighter to darker, you have ivory, taupe, gold, and then you have your forest green, which I mentioned at the beginning is usually when you see the whole color palette is usually the color that pops out the most. Sometimes your accent color is not so much a color, but it can be also a material or a texture. And I'll show some examples of that in a little bit. Before I want to check to give you this example of how you can incorporate a lot of colors and it will make a difference. For example, in this Mexican birthday, they decided to use white tablecloths because there's a lot of color on the sarapes that they use as for overlays over here. But then you can also change it to a different base color and it has a whole different look. So it is the same sarapes, it is the same, kind of like the same style, but by changing from white to black, it creates a whole different ambience. And for example, on this one, your contrast colors will be the bows on the chairs because they're monochromatic in one, like in the chairs. So one table is all blue, one table or pink, one table or green. And then your accent is actually the serape. So this is why I mean the accent can be a combination of colors, or it can be a texture, or it can be a material. In this case, the serapes, which are the center of attention on these tables. By having all of these together, you're making everything cohesive. So everything blends in together. There's not one table that stands more than the other because there is the same accent on every single table, even though the colors of the chairs can be a bit different. So another example in the same birthday party is that one of the base colors can make a huge difference. This backdrop was done with white and is bright and airy, and it gives a different ambience because lighter colors reflect light. So when you choose, for example, white, ivory, a soft pink, or a soft blue, blush, when you use lighter colors, they reflect light. They bring out whatever lighting there is on the venue, or if it is outdoors, the light of the sun. They absorb the light, but then they reflect it back. When you have darker colors, they absorb light. So it makes it a little bit more moody, more sleek. And then that's when the when we say that it changes the whole vibe because it does. You can see it like I mentioned, this one is bright and airy, it's fun, it's nice. This one is moody, elegant, but it's still very, very, very beautiful. It's the same venue. This is about the same time that I took the pictures, but you can see it changes the whole ambience. So a base color can make a huge difference, especially because it covers most of the tables, the backdrops, etc. Another thing that we can have on here is that you can have two different base colors. Your base colors on here are lavender and gold, and it can be different textures. And at the same time, it could be that with the many different details that are on the tables, you can see how not one color is on top of the other with clashing. So it's not clashing, even though we have the lavender napkins on top of the lavender tablecloths, there is still a contrast color in between them. So the gold chargers are there to create kind of like a barrier in between those two lavenders. So you can still see the pop of the lavender and the napkins without um without taking away from the tablecloths that are there. And then we tied up the gold colors with the chair covers and some of the tablecloths on some of the tables, because again, we wanted to make it cohesive. We want to make sure that there's a theme or a color palette, that it is not disorganized, and it doesn't look overwhelmed. There's still a lot of gold in here because because he's in the middle, you appreciate all the other gold touches that are around the table. Another thing that I can notice on here is how the centerpieces are tall. Usually we tell clients and designers that if you have tall centerpieces, not only that helps for the guests to see each other, which is amazing, but it also creates a different view of the whole table. Most of the weddings are 10 tables plus. Sometimes it could be even 50, 60 tables. So when you see everything together, like on this picture, you can see that there is that is not only walls and tables. This actually brings the ceiling lower to the table. So it creates more volume on the tables. So that way the hall or the venue where the wedding is at, it doesn't look empty. So this is something completely different that is done at many other weddings when they have a small centerpiece. And also we wanted to create something that catches the attention. So the accent color that you can see on here is the yellow, because there's only a couple of yellow flowers on the centerpieces. Not only that makes sure that it pops, but also because naturally we cannot get gold flowers, which will tie everything together. We'll have, because there's so many combinations of colors in the table itself, we wanted to have an accent of yellow. So it is something that ties up the whole color palette together, but also it creates a whole different ambience on here. It gives a little pop of color without having it to be too much or too big. Okay. remember how I said that you can have some color in different textures. So you can have different colors in different textures. When you have, for example, balloons and sequins, they're the same color, they're gold, but it might look a little bit different. However, there is still some togetherness in between those two. On this one, the accent color is white. I mean the contrast color, sorry. The contrast color is white and the accent color is black. You don't have a lot of it and you can say that both are the same, but remember I said one absorbs light, one reflects it. So when you have one of the other, one and the other together, then one becomes a contrast and one becomes the accent color. Another thing that I wanted to mention, which will go back to the beginning, an accent color can be a texture or a material. So on here, our accents are the glass, the glassware in the candles, the glass body holders that are on here. That would be the accent because their base color is the tablecloths that are, I believe, this. And then the lavender napkins are the contrast color because there is no runner. There is no runner. The Chavari chairs have a little bit of gold, however, they're not very close to the table in this case. So you can see that there it leaves a space to have an accent. And because we wanted to showcase here an ambience that is romantic, that it has like it, that we wanted to create the experience for the guests that they're at a candlelight dinner, very romantic, very soft. This venue itself had a lot of wood and a lot of gold fixtures on there. We wanted to make sure that it created a whole ambience of being like kind of in a small fancy restaurant. So an accent color, quote unquote, could be also a material. So it can be your metallics. If you have glassware, if you have, for example, it can be textures. See, in a birthday party or a very wild wedding, it can be prints. So this is something that you can play with in order to give your guest the another whole different experience without you clashing a lot of colors or using a lot of colors all together. Another thing that I teach my students is that sometimes you have to make a sandwich in the colors. So on this one, we have the sandwich is starts with the bread that is white. And then we have, let's say that the ham is the red overlays. Your accent is going to be the gold. And that is going to be in the middle because we have gold bases and then gold sequin runners, which leaves the other part of the sandwich to be white and red. We didn't want the red flowers to clash with the brightness of the satin overlay. So we wanted to make sure that there is a layer of white in order for us to make sure that the colors are not on top of each other and they're gonna clash. So it can be as simple as that. And you can see that there is white chairs. And then on this one, guess what the accent color is? It's not gold, it's blue. The accent color is blue because after all of this, after dinner, the guests are left with no chargers, no napkins. The runner stays there. So sometimes you have to think throughout the timeline of wedding what elements of the table are going to be left on there. If your couples are wanting to have a color, like if their wedding colors are um gold and blue, but they want to showcase more the blue, then you make sure that the things that are staying on the table, the linen that is staying off the table, has those color palettes. And if your accent color is going away after a while, in this case, the gold one, then you leave the color blue on here because that's going to be showcased throughout the whole wedding. Okay, another example on here. We have these really cute metallic copper runners and bows. We have a little bit of gold on here, which could be the accent color. But then the florals, we have another accent color, which is the green, because no other place you can find the green. we wanted to create the clear, we wanted to create a base color palette. So it was a mix of the white, the clear, and the ivory. So you can also mix a couple of colors into your base. You can mix a couple of colors into your contrast and a couple of colors into your accent. And that's how you can fit in up to 7 or 8 colors on there. So when you have an event like this, when you have different colors, different textures, the only thing that you think about, the thing that you can think about is how you're going to create cohesiveness into all of these colors. How one thing has to stand more than the other. How if I'm going to have a white wedding cake, then the tablecloth has to be a different color. If I'm going to have a lot of treats, I want the metal bases to be gold so it goes together with the tables. One of the things that I tell my students is to make sure that clients have kind of like a mock-up of the things that they're going to do, because a lot of our clients are visual. Most of the people want to see what they're getting. They want to see how their wedding is going to look like. So a lot of us can imagine the colors, and maybe it has happened to a wedding professional. You're explaining everything to the client. You're going to have a beautiful wedding. This is the color of the tablecloth. Imagine the napkin over here. Imagine the chargers, and you can tell them everything, every single detail that they're going to do at their wedding, but they cannot see it. And it is a little bit hard for them to make decisions into what colors to use because they cannot see it. So by providing a mock-up, whether it's a Canva mock-up, whether it's actually setting up a table in person at the time of a consultation, or to do a venue walkthrough and do it on there, it provides not only reassurance to the clients that they're getting good quality, but also it provides a whole peace of mind, because when they see it, when they see how the colors that they're looking for are all matching together, it gives them peace of mind that everything is going to look amazing. It makes the decisions easier. For example, if there is a DJ that is providing up lighting and you have your colors, let's say that your colors are silver and blue, and then your DJ is providing up lighting, or you have a lighting company that is providing the up lights. If you want everything to be blue, then you can match it. But if you want to have a color that pops out, then nothing is not the lighting is not going to be blue. It's probably going to be a whole different tone that it doesn't take away from what's going to be on the tables, but it complements the colors that you have on your tables, on your guest tables. For example, on the main tables, I don't have visual examples of that here. But for example, on your main tables, if the bridesmaids are wearing, let's say, sage green, if the brides are wearing sage green, you're not going to have a backdrop that is sage green, because then they're gonna blend in with the backdrop, and the only thing that you're gonna see is the bride and groom in the middle. If the bridesmaids or groomsmen and are not sitting with the couple, then there's a whole different story. Maybe the bride wants everything silver because she's using a white dress, and the groom is in black. So if they want everything silver, the groomsmen are not there, you can put everything silver. You can use a little bit of white, or you can use a little bit of ivory, but then your accent color will be sage green. So that ties up together the guest tables and the main table. Um, a lot of the choices that the groom and the bride will have to they'll have to know the wedding colors, but they also have to know what they're using on the tables. If they have favors, and then they have a lot of gold in their tables, and then they're doing the favors in gold boxes, guests might not be able to see it firsthand. Like, they can get to it, close it, but then they're gonna and then they're gonna find the favor, but then it's not going to complement the colors that are already there. If they have menus, when they're choosing their centerpieces, they can know, or they probably have to know what they're doing on their tables, as far as linen, silverware, and the materials that they're using. A lot of brides and grooms they tend to say, well, I have this color palette, but you have to make sure that they understand that a color in different fabrics or in different materials may look like two different colors. For example, if you have a pink, a hot pink in satin, taffeta, sheer, and organza, it's gonna look different in all those four fabrics because the light hits different, because of the thread that is made of, because one is see-through, the other one is shiny. So there's a lot of whole different options that we have to take on account before we provide even a few choices to our couples. So this is a little bit of this a sample of a little bit of what I can talk about. I can go on and on of this. I like I said, I have been attending Wedding MBA for about 4 years. It will be a true honor to be one of the presenters on the workshops. This is an amazing opportunity. I hope this information is something that is helpful to many other wedding professionals, not only decorators as myself or designers, but many professionals that are understand a little bit more about how to create a beautiful, beautiful table by using a color theory. Hopefully, this is something that we can do at Wedding MBA. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in November.